What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Gurus. Today I'm going to talk about the top 5 running backs for buy low that are on my list for week 3. This is where champions are made, baby. It's about the draft, about the waiver wire, but if you can find some buy lows that are going to increase in value, and that low rate right there is just sitting there frustrating that fantasy owner, then that's exactly where champions are made. So you can't find better value than early in the weeks. Fantasy owners are frustrated, but without further ado, let's just get right into it. So top 5, number 1 on my list for the week, it's going to be A.J. Dillon, right? So let's talk about him real quick. A.J. Dillon, just absolute monster. 7.2 fantasy points week 2. Underwhelming performance. The usage was there, but it just didn't create any big plays. Aaron Jones completely stole the show. So fantasy owners are watching that and they're frustrated. They're thinking Aaron Jones is the guy, but he's not. And I'll tell you why here. One concern and one thing that was the upside with Aaron Jones, obviously he has that big playability, but he was going to be more involved in the receiving game. Through 2 weeks, A.J. Dillon has 9 targets to Aaron Jones' 8. So 50-50 pretty much there. So A.J. Dillon's just as much of a factor in the passing game, which is good for his floor and opportunities. Through 2 games, he's actually out-touched Aaron Jones. 34 for Dillon, 26 to Jones. So from there, talk about snap count, because it's really just usage. They're both efficient. It's just who's going to get the ball. And snap count overall, 77 Jones to 70 A.J. Dillon. So 50-50 split. The big factor here of why I'm actually favoring Dillon moving forward is the sole fact that inside the 5 yards of the goal line touches, Dillon has 2, Aaron Jones has 0. So he is going to be the goal line back, and that's proven. We saw that late in the season last year. Coming off a mediocre week, Jones' performance again scaring some people, but it's a great time to go out and get him. He's being valued as like a low-end running back too, but checks all the boxes for me. He has the usage, so it is a timeshare, unfortunately, but that's factoring into his value right now. He has more attempts, more targets, and he's getting the goal line carries. So just look for him to be more consistent than that week 2 performance. Take advantage of his trade value right now. Go out and get him. And if Aaron Jones goes down, there's only one. So that's my number 1 target. Number 2, Breece Hall. Now, I'm not saying go out and trade for him right away. You can if you want to. Personally, me, I would wait a couple of weeks. There's a lot of good things about him, but a lot of potential concerns. So we just want to wait and see how this plays out. But Breece Hall, coming off of 12.5 fantasy points last week, he's got 19.6 on the year, which is a little bit underwhelming. But the thing that I'm concerned about is his usage, right? So week 2, Michael Carter had a 61%. He was on the field 61% of the time, compared to Breece Hall's 27%. 27%. He was on the field for 27%, which is an incredible concern. Game 1 was not like that. He had 45% usage rating, so not sure where the difference was with that. Maybe it was script. Maybe I don't know what it was, but that's definitely concerning and something worth monitoring, which is pretty much the reason why I would hold off on trading for him. But from there, he has the skill set, he has the pass catching ability, and the only thing stopping him is his snap count. He was a rookie, he blew away scouts in the combine. He had a great track record in college, scored a lot of touchdowns, and was one of the highest valued prospects out of all the running backs to come. So it's there. The opportunities will come. I think as we transition into the season, you're going to see a little bit more of Hall, a little bit less of Carter because he is the better back. But, from there, for some reason, that usage is like that, and that's something worth monitoring. So, again, don't go out and trade for him now unless you have to, but just monitor, see what happens there. If the usage goes up and goes back to normal, I expect great things from him. So moving on to number 3, Ramondre Stevenson, I'm not giving up on this guy. He, I could feel it. I could feel it. So let's talk about him real quick. Very, very poor performance to start off. He only has 9.3 fantasy points in combined for the 2 weeks. So value is obviously all-time low. But some positives on that. He ran 23 routes compared to Harris's 9. He's the clear-cut pass catching back. Harris has minimal value in that. So that's going to be good for his floor, and I expect him to run more routes, catch more passes, something that he can offer that Harris can't. One concern, though, is Stevenson has yet to touch the ball in the red zone. Harris, on the other hand, he has 3 rushes and 2 receptions, so 5 total catches or 5 total touches. So that tells me that in the red zone, he's there. So the touchdowns may not be there for Stevenson unless Harris were to go down or something were to change. But usage rate, and this is something that's actually a positive, game 1, Harris had 39% usage compared to Stevenson's 25%. So there, obviously Harris was preferred. Game 2, it was 40% usage for Harris, 62% for Stevenson. So a lot more usage there. I hope that continues going forward. Could have been because Harris had that knee injury. Not entirely sure. Small sample size, but if we can get that 60% usage rate out of Stevenson, his value is definitely going to go up. He's going to see more touches. But from there, the value can't go much lower as far as a trade target-wise. It's been incredibly underwhelming. I don't think he's put up more than like 5 fantasy points, maybe 6 at the most. And he's somebody whose value is so low that you don't have to go give up a stud for him. He pretty much can be added in pieces, and somebody who has tremendous upside. He showed it last year when he was given the ball. No reason why he wouldn't be better this year. I think he has a better rapport with the coaches. They trust him a lot more, and we're 1 injury away, 1 game away. I can just feel the breakout with him. I'm not giving up on him. And again, I'm not, because the value and the upside is there, but you're not necessarily going to have to go out and drop an RB2 for him. So that's number 3. Number 4, and this is my number 1 of the week, actually, it's Javonte Williams. I just love this guy. He was coming off an underwhelming performance as well. He only had 9 fantasy points, 23 total on the season. But there's just so many good things that just point into and check all the boxes for me. He has 16 targets on the year, which is number 1 out of all running backs. So heavily involved in the passing game. His competition, which is one thing that lowers his value, just has 3, which is Gordon. Last year, that was not the case. He already has out-touched in targets by 13 through the 2 games. Last season, Williams had 53 targets to Gordon's 38 or catches, and that was only a 15 differential there. So he's already vastly outperforming there. Gordon's not really relevant in the passing game, so Williams will always have that. But let's talk about his usage. That's the most important thing, is the opportunities, and saw an uptick in usage. So game 1 was 58%. Game 2 for Williams was 65%, which that's a great sign there. Gordon had a 41% usage rating, and game 2 was just 32%. So they definitely saw something. I don't know what it was, but Williams had a lot more opportunities on the field in game 2, and I expect that to continue going forward. He's yet to score a touchdown. That's really what's holding him back from being that RB2 running back, maybe even RB1. But I expect that to change soon. Last year, it was Gordon-Williams 50-50 split. And this year, even with that 50-50 split, though, Williams still put up over 1,200 yards total in 7 touchdowns, which is RB2 numbers, high-end RB2. But from here, that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. I think it's going to be more of like a 65-35 split, or not even a split, but therefore, Williams is just going to get more opportunities going into his second year. He understands everything a little bit more. Games slowed down, but the red zone, right? So Williams and Gordon, they've split 50-50. So I'm not sure who's shaking up to be in the red zone. It just kind of depends, I guess, who's out there. But both have 4 total touches, 2 each inside the 5-yard line. but Williams has 2 targets. So that's, a whole nother avenue to open up for touchdown opportunities that Gordon will never have. They're not going to throw the ball to Gordon inside the 5-yard line. He's either getting the ball or he's not in. But from there, that's another reason why I expect those touchdowns to increase. He is getting goal line touches, and he does have that passing factor on there. But he's just the preferred backfield in those situations and in general. Both put up solid numbers from an efficiency standpoint. Gordon's still at it as well. But based on all these different factors, this is Javonte's backfield, and the touchdowns are coming. So grab him before it's too late. You can thank me later. But he's my number 1 trade target for the week on a buy low, coming off of a mediocre week. And again, if he had a touchdown in either one of those 2 games, he wouldn't even be on this list. And they're coming. Last one is Alvin Kamara. I hope he doesn't make me look like an idiot. I drafted him in majority of my leagues. Just thought he was being undervalued from the start, and I still think he is. And now he's going for even a cheaper price tag. He has played in 1 game and scored 6 points, and he got hurt. So 6.1 fantasy points, and he was hurt. During that, with Ingram in there, outsnapped Ingram 38-20. But then he got hurt, so hopefully it's going to be a little bit higher than that going forward. But he is injured. He practiced yesterday, assuming he's practicing today. Yesterday was Wednesday. So he should be ready to go and play. I would assume a full workload with that week off. But the great thing about him is the value is so low because there's just so much uncertainty. Like, listen to everything that's going on with this guy right now. Uncertain in the offense. Where does he fit in? There's more competition for him now than ever. He got to compete against Mike Thomas. Got to compete against Olave, Landry. You got Ingram coming in there, plus Taysom Hill just vulturing carries. So there's a lot of uncertainty in this offense of who is going to be the primary, beneficiary. So from there, on top of that, he's got his court dates. The offseason, they talked about, his usage going down, which I actually think is going to be true. On top of his injury and underwhelming week 1, it can't get much worse than that, right? So go out and buy him. Tons of things to be concerned about, but wise man told me you buy when others are fearful, and this is exactly in that case here. Buy the upside. That's what we're buying here. He's going around like running back 2 value, maybe low end running back 2, but has that running back 1 upside. And they're playing against the Panthers this week, who is one of the worst against running backs in terms of fantasy points. So I expect him to go off that full week of rest. There's no concern about anyone taking his job. He's still going to be on the field. He's still going to be a primary part of the offense. And he is the most explosive player on the team when he's healthy, and he is the sole receiving back. Now, one thing that makes me feel good about this too is he has a good rapport with Winston. It was clear, through the first 7 weeks when they played together last season before Winston went down. Here's his stats, and they're crazy to me. So he was averaging over 105 yards per game, total yards, and he scored a touchdown in 6 out of those 7 games, and was averaging 17.5 fantasy points per game during Winston's reign. So I expect that rapport to continue. I expect him to be heavily targeted in the passing game. He was getting around 4 receptions a game on top of his rush attempts. So again, it's probably going to be a little bit less rush attempts, but I expect that usage in the pass game to be there. One Kamara game, like he's done time and time again, is going to put him right back into that running back 1 conversation, and I'm banking on that to happen. I feel very confident about it. So go get him before he does that and not have to pay an arm and a leg. But overall, that's everything. You guys, top 5 running backs, if you guys found this useful, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, questions about your fantasy team, anything at all, please leave a comment. I will respond to it. And from there, we'll go ahead and stay tuned to my next video.